Hi and welcome everyone to my YouTube channel. If you don't know me, I am Nikki, I'm known as Nikki Craft on social media, and I'm a freelance demonstrator on Create and Craft for mainly Heartfelt creations, but you will see me working with other companies' products as well. Today I'm going to be making a light box that I created on Create and Craft TV going back a few weeks ago using the Sweet Pea collection. Now, this is the box that I first created before I went and did the show on Create and Craft. So I'll just show you around this one. So the actual box measures 4 by 4. I did this quite simply by using just one sheet from the Sweet Pea collection. I've also added my lights here. So these are some battery lights that I just got off of Amazon, I think. And they actually do last quite a long while. And then that will just fit in there. So obviously I'm making this as a light box, but you can create this box for anything really. You could use it for Easter. You could use it to put some Easter eggs in. Or obviously you could put a cupcake or a nice little gift inside. But today I'm going to show you how to make this 4 by 4 light box. The one that I actually did create on Create and Craft a few weeks back, I think my demonstration was this one. So I've done this one slightly different. The size is exactly the same, but I didn't use the vase on this one. So I'm going to go straight ahead and show you how you can easily create one of these boxes just using your Heartfelt Creations Sweet Pea collection. But of course, you can use any collection that you have in your crafty stash. So the first page that I chose was this one, which is 9B from the Sweet Pea paper collection. If you aren't familiar with the Sweet Pea paper collection, I'll just give you a little bit of a flick through it. It's an absolutely gorgeous collection with gorgeous Sweet Pea florals going throughout. You have got die cuts in here as well, which do correspond with your dies that come with the Sweet Pea collection, which is really nice and handy. You've got lots of panels in here. You've got your tags at the back there. You've got your 6 by 6s in here also that's incorporated within your paper pad. You've got panels in there, and you've got your gorgeous sort of like your florals on the back. It really is an absolutely stunning collection. So this is why I thought this would be the first one that I would use to create my first YouTube video with. So I'll just pop that down and go ahead and show you how I started. So first of all, you are going to want to cut off your tab, because that will then fit in your scoreboard. So you will need a scoreboard for this. So once you've cut that tab off, what you want to do is just sit that 12 by 12 sheet in there, and you are going to want to score at 4 inches and 8 inches. If you work in centimetres, I will work out the centimetre measurements for you and pop it in the description below. And then once you've scored that way, you're then going to want to turn that paper around and score again at 4 and 8. Really, really nice and simple. This is great if you're just started out in crafting and maybe you've just been sticking to your card making and you want to sort of venture out into creating something a little bit more different. So I've already skipped quite a few of the steps in here, but I will work you through it. So obviously you have your 12 by 12, which we will have scored. And there is your score lines there. To reinforce those score lines, because I always like to reinforce them, I just use a bone folder and I just gently work across those score lines all the way around, and that gives me a much neater score edge. And then what you're going to want to do is you are going to want to cut diagonally down here and down this score line here. So you're going to want to just cut right to where the tip of that score mark is on there. And then to create your tab, you are going to want to just cut that corner off, that triangle, and that will give you a nice size tab to create your box with. And you're going to want to do that on all 4 corners. So when you look at it, this is basically what you are going to get. So there is my 2 tabs on the top there and my 2 tabs on the bottom. And then what you're going to want to do is once you've created those tabs, just add some double-sided tape, or if you prefer, some really good PVA glue. I prefer my double-sided tape purely because it's a lot quicker and it's an instant grab, especially when you're making your 3-dimensional projects. And then the next thing you'll want to go and do is you are going to want to cut out your aperture. Now, to cut out the aperture, what I've used is the decorative die from the classic Floral vase die set, which is included in there. And to do that, what I've done is I've cut that, and as you can see, you have got that score line as a marker, so you know that that is central in that square panel. And you're going to want to do that on the opposite side as well. So when you pop it through your die cutting machine, what you want to do is just close these areas up here and then pop that through your die cutting machine like that. So it will fit through your A5 die cutting machine, maybe at a push, maybe pushing it a little bit. So I tend to use my A4 die cutting machine. So once that's die cut out, obviously you've got that element there, which you won't need. And I've just dropped mine on the floor, so I'm just going to pick that up. And what you get is that. So you basically created an aperture. So as I say, do that both ends. And then you're going to turn that over and you're going to add some double-sided tape just at the top and the bottom, just basically where that die cut edge is. That should be enough to hold your acetate. So your acetate wants to be just under 4x4 because these panels on your box are 4x4 inches. So I think I've just cut mine about 3 3/4, I think, just all the way round. Basically, you need just enough to cover that aperture. And then you're going to want to take that double-sided tape off. You will find double-sided tape with your acetate a lot easier than glue. There's not actually many glues that will actually stick your acetate in place. So the double-sided tape is great for that. Then we're going to want to do exactly the same the other side. And we are then going to turn that over like that. So there you can see you've got your aperture with your acetate under. Then I've die cut out 2 of those decorative dies to create an overlay for my aperture. So I've used the Luxe silver cardstock from Heartfelt Creations. This gives a really nice clean cut. And then I'm using some permanent adhesive spray. I just find this a lot easier to stick down any of my decorative dies. Okay, so the one that I'm using is from Hobbycraft over here in the UK, but there are a lot of different ones on the market. And as you can see, that is going to fit perfectly in that aperture. And then you are going to do exactly the same the other side. Okay, so then we're going to turn that back over, and on the top along this side here, I'm going to add some double-sided tape. So that just needs to be about the same length as that decorative die there. Okay, so you're just going to trim that off there. One minute, that's just not trimmed quite properly. It's gone a bit messy. There we go, just caught it. So that just wants to go just under the top of that area there on your box. And we're going to do exactly the same all the way around. Okay, so again, just trimming that about the same size as that decorative die. And just under that top panel. And I've already gone ahead and done this one. This needs to be done where your acetate is after you've put your acetate on. Okay, and then I'll just do this side as well. And this is going to hold your decorative die. So the next stage is to put this together. Okay, so what you're going to do is when we're at this stage, you've got your double-sided tape, or as I say, your glue, if that's what you prefer. And we're just going to take that off and we're going to assemble that box. So basically that is just going to fit along that score line there. And then just to reinforce it, you're just going to want to just make sure that's nicely stuck well. And then we will do the other side here and bring that one up along that score line just there and stick that down. And then exactly the same on this last panel here. So I've actually just made a mistake, so I will just show you that in a minute. You're probably watching this and thinking, nope, that should have been the next step, because the double-sided tape on those panels, on two of the panels, needed to go on really after this stage, because if you look inside, I've lost my red liner tape. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and pop that on there. Doesn't matter, I've just got double the amount of tape on there. So we'll just go ahead on that one and then on that opposite side. On the other two panels, it's absolutely fine. You haven't got your tabs here hiding it. As you can can still see that red liner tape. So the next stage is to die cut 2 more of those decorative dies, like this. So that gives you your 4. And then you are going to want to cut in half lengthways all the way up in the middle. So you've cut them in half. And you're going to want to do that with both of those decorative dies. There we go. And then we're going to want to take that double-sided tape off. Again, you can use a wet PVA glue if you want to. We'll take it off of all of them, and then that's all ready to put those decorative dies on. And then this one. That one doesn't want to come off. There we go. And then finally, that one. You can actually use other decorative dies as well to create this box. Heartfelt obviously have a lot of decorative dies that maybe fit this size box, so it's worth having a look to see what you've got. So if you don't have the sweepie, you know, don't worry, have a look to see what you've got in your crafty stash and see if you can kind of come up with something very, very similar. But the actual concept of making that box would be exactly the same. And there you want to have those decorative dies lining the top. With the Miri card, I'm doing it facing outwards, so the nice end is showing. And they all want to be roughly in the centre. And I'm just basically sticking mine just underneath where that scrolls around. Okay, so that's just coming just at the top. And the good thing about using double-sided tape is, yes, it grabs and it's really good, but if you do make a mistake and it's not quite straight, you can take it off and pop it on again. Now, if you wanted to, to finish this off, so you can't see that and it's quite neat, you can actually cut some strips of paper or use some of the ribbon strips from the paper pad and just cover that in. You just need a strip of 4 inches to cover that, and it'd only need to be about ½ an inch thick, and that would hide that decorative die in there. So the next step, now we've got our box, you can see it coming together now, is to take a sheet of paper from, again, I'm using the Sweet Pea again. Now this one, I'm using sheet 1B. So that is 1A if you are loving Heartfelt and you haven't seen the Sweet Pea yet, which I'd be very surprised if you haven't. You have got that ribbon strip there, so that would work really nicely on those insides there, like I said just a moment ago. I'm actually going to be using this panel here. Okay, so you're going to want to trim down just each side of that, where that decorative edging is, that lace edging down there. And then you are going to want to cut those, and I think they measure around 3 3/4 roughly. I think I'm about right there. No, 3.5. So these are 3.5. So you're going to want to measure 3.5, cut, and then 3.5 again. And you are left with a little piece as well. But again, you can use paper of your choice. And then I'm going to bring my box over. So on the blocked panels, which are opposite each other, I'm going to just adhere these patterned papers, just clean my glue off, and just going to put a little bit, the most important bit is when you're sticking down is to go as close to the edge as possible, and then just do a little bit of a squiggle like that. And then I'm just going to pop that centrally in there and just glue that down nicely. Again, if you want to, you can use some double-sided tape. And then I'm turning that over so that is now flat to my table surface. And then I'm just rubbing inside with my fingers just to make sure that that's going to stick in place nicely and all the corners are stuck down neatly like that. Okay, and then we're going to go over and I'm going to do exactly the same on this side. So take my glue close to the edge as possible without it dripping off the sides, and a squiggle in the middle, and then I'm going to pop that on there just like that. And again, then I'm going to turn that over like that, and then just take my fingers, or you could use your bone folder if you like, if you can't quite get in there. Especially if you decide to make a smaller box. As I say, the measurements I'm giving you are for a 4x4 box, but you can easily change these measurements, cut your paper smaller and make a smaller box if you like. Completely up to you. And there I have my assembled box. So at this stage, this is when I would say add some of your pearls, maybe decorate it with some glitter. So if we look at this one here that I've done, I've added some glitter around the edges, and then I've added some pearls down here. Now I also have on this one added some more of those decorative pieces. So on this one, if you look at this, it's basically that edge there that I've used just to pop on the edge there. That's something that you may want to do. And I would have used 2 of those to create those. And then just going around, I've added some pearls here as well at the top and at the bottom. And then just to hide that bit there. So if you look at this one, which we've just made, you'll see that it does look a little bit, not messy, but you can see where that has joined, where we've created that box. But if you just add some glitter down there, that actually hides that. So that is your assembled box. Really nice and easy. Now, another idea that you could do, you could actually create a handle for this as well, make it into a little bit of a more of a basket if you wanted. Lots of different ideas, and I always find that when I'm creating things like this, my mind's going, because I'm kind of thinking, right, I could make a box. Yes, I could do a double box here, and I could make Easter baskets. I had to add a handle. But as I say, there's so many things. Great for putting handmade soaps in as well. So we're going to go ahead now, and I'm just going to show you very quickly on how just to decorate this up using your sweet peas. Now in this video, I have decided I'm not going to go into depths on how I've actually created my sweet peas. There are obviously lots of videos out there, I am aware, but I do know that there are certain ways that us crafters have, and somebody's way of actually creating them you may find quite difficult, but you may watch another video and think, oh wow, that's an easier option, I'll do that. So what I've decided is just to create this quickly for you, but then in another video I will probably add onto YouTube at the end of this week, we'll go into more depths on how to create some sweet peas and maybe some other flowers that you could use exactly the same stamps and dies with to create slightly different flowers. So to start with, I've chosen my vase. So because my box is predominantly pink, I'm going with a purple vase on this one. Now I don't have my glass mat on here, so I'm going to be quite naughty and just use my tabletop. So I'm just going to go in with my dauber, and I'm just going to pick up, now it did have on that dauber a bit of pink, but that's fine, it will just be a slightly different colour. And with my dauber, I'm just going to add some colour, and I'm just going to bring in, and I lift my dauber up as I'm doing this. Really naughty not to have my glass mat on here, but it will clean. So I'm going just around the edges just to add some deeper purple along there, and as I come up, I'm going into the middle to add a little bit of shading there as well, and then just add a bit more if you want to. And then in the center, again exactly the same, I'm going to bring that in, and that's basically how I've colored most of my vases in. Really nice, easy and quick. But you could also, like on this one here, all I've done is use some gold embossing powder onto cream card. Okay, so if you're not into colouring, if you want something a little bit more classy, just think about using some embossing powders and heat emboss that image on there. And I put no colouring on in there. All I've done is added some glitter on there as well. Okay, so the next part is adhering that to my card, sorry, my box. So I'm just going to use one of the sides that I've got that panel. Now I'm just adding some shape to that vase, and I'm just bringing it around with my fingers just so that it rounds off slightly. Okay, so obviously you would have decorated yours at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some glue. So I'm using my heat gun for this. And the heat gun I'm using is actually a Bosch heat gun. Oh, don't want to catch my fingers. And this heats it at a really good temperature, so I have got some wiggle room before I add that on there. So what you want to do is just add a little bit of glue at that top. Don't add it at the top there, okay? So you want that top of that vase open. Now you can actually create and make this before you actually put it on your box, but I'm just going to add some elements to my card, sorry, my box. So I'm going to trim off that little bit because I can pop that on again shortly. So literally, I'm just going to add these before I glue them down. Okay, so then I can just have a look. I'm going to cut that leaf off there, which means then I can put that further in to that vase like that. And to be honest, I think that is probably enough. So those stamps are from the Vining Sweet Pea stamp and die set. As I say, I will be uploading another video and we'll go into a little bit more in depth on the colouring, and I'll show you some different colouring techniques for this. And then I've got some sweet peas that I've created. So I've got 3 sort of purpley colours, and they've got a little bit of green in. So we will just adhere these first. So we'll just add a bit of glue at the back just to make sure that they are in place like that. So they've just stuck down. And then I'm just going to sit these to see where I actually want to put these sweet peas. You can add these on wires if you like. But again, I'm just going to kind of do this quickly for today because it was more of the box that I know everyone has been asking for. And I do apologise, it's taken me a few weeks to actually upload this. So I'm quite happy with that. The centres of those sweet peas are some prills. Well, I call them prills, I'm not actually sure. I think they're called flower pearls from Dress My Craft. They come in various different colours. I've got some pink and some purple ones here. And they're really tiny little pearls, look. Really great. I absolutely love these. And they've got a nice shine to them as well. And I've also made, from the calyx from the Stamp and Die set for the sweet peas, which are these here. So the calyx is these bits here, which actually look like flowers, but they are actually what we call calyx, which go on the back of your sweet pea. But I've created some flowers with those, and I've also used some of the flowers, the little tiny blossoms, which are these, from the hydrangea flowers, which we launched, I think it was last spring. And they are from the, I do believe, are they from the Floral Spring collection? Not quite sure, but as I say, I will go into a little bit more depth with that. So I've actually used them on the centre of those calyxes there. So we'll just add 3 of those onto my floral vase up here. And then in a few seconds, I will show you how to just reinforce the back of that, because obviously it's quite tall. So we'll just put that one in there, and I will bring this one down the bottom here. And I might actually add another sprig here. Now I do really like these bits, and I'm not really going to see that at the back, so I'm going to cut that twirly bit off, and I'm going to put that just down the back. So that's a bit long, so I'm going to trim it again. I have actually added some dimension to these using my flower shaping tool as well. So that will just fit on the back there, and I'm really happy with that now. So now I know where I want to situate that. I can glue that down on the back, just going on the back there. So you might find yours is a little bit wiggly, which actually this one isn't. It's actually quite sturdy. But if you wanted to reinforce it, what you want to do is just cut a piece of acetate. This could be a scrap piece of acetate that you've got. Pop that down the back, trim to just under that size there, and because you're not going to see it because it is acetate, you can glue your flower spray there, and that's just going to help reinforce that. So what have we got here? So I've got a few more flowers here, which I think I'm actually going to add. So I've got some pink sweet peas here as well. I don't think there's any such thing as having too many flowers on a project. So I'll just add a couple of those pink ones on here. What I'm trying to do is, if you look, I don't want too much clump of pink in one place. So I just might not even add another one, to be honest, because I think that might be a little bit too much. So I'm actually quite happy with the way that's looking now. The only thing I want to do is just add a few flowers at the bottom. So I'm going to take another one of my purple ones because the box is predominantly pink. I'm going to add a few leaves from the sweet pea there as well. So I'm just going to put them down the bottom, trying not to cover up too much of that decorative die where the aperture is, because that's where the light's going to shine through from the lights that I've got in there. So just add them, and then I'm just having a look. I have got another spray. I always have plenty of my stamped images coloured up just in case I want to add more. So I'm going to add that about there. So again, just add some glue on there and put that just hanging over the edge of my box. And then it's choosing a colour. In actual fact, I'm going to go for two. So I'm going for a pink one and a lilac sweet pea. So again, trying not to cover up too much of that aperture. Then add my pink purple one there. And then I've got one more of those florals that I made from the calyx, which will go just at the top there. And I've used, if you're wondering what that is in the centre of those, they are some of the Heartfelt Creations stamens. I think they're from the wedding set. So just pop that there. Now you remember I cut that squiggly sort of frond off of that die earlier. What I want to do is I'm just going to bring it down so it's coming down from the top of my vase. So just add some glue, and that's going to go under there. Just sit that just so that that kind of comes down and falls down my vase. And then I've got another one that I cut off, and that I'm going to pop on the top there. And I kind of think I'm almost there. There we go. So we'll just pop that on there, and I'm really, really happy with that. As I say, you can decorate yours up using pearls, using glitters. If you didn't want to use your vase, you could just use a spray of flowers like this here. Completely up to you how you want to decorate it up. But there is the light box that I've promised everyone in my social media group, which is called Nikki and Friends Crafting with Heartfelt and More. So I'd love it if you did subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have lots more tutorials coming. I've got lots of classes, and I will be also selling some kits as well at some point. But please do join me again, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching.